Come ride with us. Fika with the Tölt Tales podcast. Today, this is actually Ariane. So normally it is Lionel on the mic asking the questions, but today we switched roles and today Lionel is asked the questions. Can you introduce yourself a bit to our listeners?
Yeah, so it's Lionel. I started to be interested about horses because of you. The moment we met, I had to welcome not only you, but a big horse named Sam. And since then, we had up to 5 horses together. And now it's even smaller. Now we only have 4.
Only, yes. But have you been involved with horses before? What were your thoughts about that?
So I can just describe what I know. You were going every 3 weeks because we live in the south of Sweden, and your horse at that time, Sam, was in the north of Germany. So you were going every 3 weeks for a weekend, leaving the Friday, coming back on the Monday. And that's all I knew. And at some point I told you, we have him here in Sweden. And then after the second part of it is, I didn't expect it that we were to spend every evening at the stable to take him out from the field, put him in the stable, brush him, remove the poop from his hooves, and you get on riding. And me,
I have the fun part and you have the cleaning up after me.
Yeah, I was cleaning up after you and I was collecting the poop, and this is what triggered actually where we are today. I said, well, if my life is about coming with you to the stable, which I want, I might as well try to enjoy it. So this is where we went very close to our stable to do a horse tour, Icelandic horse tour.
Yeah, like a read tour. Where we borrowed horses with a guide and we went out in the forest, and you seemed to enjoy it. And I was also open for it because I have not been interacting with Icelandic horses so much before.
Yeah, because Sam is an Hannoveraner, was an Hannoveraner.
So he was a big horse. I've been riding since I'm a child, ponies and then big horses. And then we had this stable next to us and we did this riding tour. And I went to Iceland also for a week to do a tour there with Eltester. And I felt like this could work for you as well.
Yeah, they are smaller size and
very uncomplicated.
Very, very easy to handle. No drama. That's the 10 years that I learned that in our stable, we have obviously big horses, but you see the Icelandics are just no drama, easy to handle.
Yes. It's also something that we experienced now last year when we went to a competition. My mom followed the first time when I was riding here in Sweden a competition, and she, of course, was driving me when I was a child or when I was a teenager. She was driving me to competitions with the big horses and my pony, and the whole environment, the atmosphere is very different. Maybe, of course, it might be a difference between Germany and Sweden, but it's also the whole atmosphere in how you handle the Icelandic horses on a competition day, how the people are interacting with each other. My mom was very impressed by that.
You mentioned to me multiple times that also having a paddock with the horse grazing while waiting, it's not something that you would do when you were younger with the bigger horse.
Normally either you had somebody that helped you hold the horse, like a groom. It's called, in German, it's called TT. Turniertrottel, like a dumb person that comes and follows you and helps you on a competition, is very degrading actually. Or you leave your horse in the transporter. And of course, people still do this, but I think it is a nice thing that a lot of people that offer the competition and organize the competition have the possibility to either have paddocks available or boxes, stalls, or that you have the possibility to make your own paddock, which then it feels relaxed.
Yes. So we did that tour evening, this tour for an hour and a half, and
you liked it.
Yeah. I liked it, and what I said, which is in hindsight, not the cleverest idea, is that I said, okay, I will buy a horse, and a month and a half after, I had my first horse.
Yes.
Trudur.
Yeah. It was a experience. We were looking for something, and I know also having such a long experience with horses, of course, this is not the way that you normally do. But then on the other hand, we went and looked for a horse for you that I can ride with you, so that I can always help you, right? And Trudur was maybe not the cleverest choice that we made, but we still have him.
Yeah.
He's still with us, and we love him a lot. Yeah,
this is what I say to everybody: is like this probably, in a lot of ways, it was not a good horse for a beginner. Very tense, not necessarily great gait,
but reliable, friendly in the field.
Yes,
and you were able to go out with him by yourself.
Yes,
and make your own experience with him.
Yes, for sure. So we had Trudur, and Sam. And
then we had a mini shetty.
Yes.
Junette's Wonder Cream that we bought as a company for Sam. And then we started working more and more with her, driving her even. Yes. She was an excellent pony. She hopefully still is. We had to sell her because the stable was not able to provide space for mares.
Because that was just geldings.
Yeah.
So we had the three stooges, three sizes, and then I can't remember.
Then I bought Hugin.
You bought Hugin.
Because Sam was already 19 when he moved to Sweden, and we wanted to retire him. And I enjoyed more and more also the Icelandic horses. So then I bought Hugin.
Yes.
Pretty black, long mane, and super to ride out, but I wanted more.
Yeah, in Swedish they call them
skogsmulle.
So it's like basically the horse that you use to go in the forest.
We found actually another horse. Again, we drove quite some.
Yeah, in Blekinge,
yeah.
Which is a different region of Sweden, next to Skåne still, but it's 3-hour drive.
Yes, and we found Nui. Yes. And the moment I sat on Nui, the moment we arrived with the car, I thought, oh my God, it's
not a pretty horse.
It's not a pretty horse. But then we prepared him, and the moment I went on him and put my butt in the saddle, I knew this is my horse. Yeah, I'm going to buy him.
Big fat smile. And this is what we said, right? I think it's a lesson for a lot of people. Maybe I don't know if that's going to help anyone saying that, but we said to ourselves, we don't look. We don't care about how he looks.
No.
We care about if you like riding that horse, is your horse.
Yes.
If you don't feel anything, then that's how it is.
It is very much about the feeling and to just trust your gut a bit in a certain way. So we had then, out of a sudden, 5 horses. And I sold Hugin again to a very lovely couple. So he went up north again, north of Gothenburg.
We sold Suri right after,
Mini.
So we are down to 3.
Yes. And then, unfortunately, after almost 21 years together.
A 24-year-old.
Yes. I had Sam since he was 3.5. So we were 2 months short of 21 years. He went to the evergreen pastures.
Yes.
But he's still in my heart. And I think he's in the heart of everybody that knew him and met him. Yeah. Well, and then we were down to 2 horses.
Yes. Then I always wanted a Scandinavian horse.
Because we talked with Niels and Susie, and we have been training with Niels for many years.
Yes, because we didn't mention that I bought a horse, but we also started to train. For Icelandic, you coming from the big horses, it's a bit different. So we started to train. We trained with Niels for many years, and other great trainer that we had. And yes, that's that. We had then Phoenix from Scandinavia. That's a horse number 6 then.
Yeah.
I don't know when did you...
We bought him, or you bought him when he was 2. So
Yes.
We looked at him, we really liked him. And then we waited until he could start being ridden. And we started him up together with Niels. And we had him then until he was 4.
Yep. And then we trained with him. And after maybe 6 months... it was just not for me.
I think that is always the thing. You don't know what you get when you buy a young horse that you have never ridden. Again, it comes back to the feeling. I had this feeling that Nui is my horse the moment I sat on him. I didn't like him necessarily from the looks, but we knew already that he will be a good horse.
Yes. And so just to come back to, so we had Phoenix, and then you bought...
Yeah, so Phoenix was a really good horse,
yes.
But then you don't know how it feels when you actually start riding them.
Yes.
And that is, it can be the best horse ever, but you need to feel it.
And like sometimes it works.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, and sometimes it works and sometimes it just doesn't. So
now he has a new home and we're very happy for him.
Yes.
But then, of course, seeing this development with Lionel and Phoenix, I was curious. I also wanted a young horse again after having Sam for so long and having followed him and training him myself since he was 3.5. I felt like I also want to experience this from the start.
Yes.
So we bought Ariane.
Horse number 7.
Ariane from Scandinavia. We bought him when he was 1 year old.
Yep.
1 year old. But so far, he moved to our stable now 2 weeks ago, and he has the sweetest heart ever, absolutely unfazed by so many things that we throw at him.
Not worried about anything.
No, but we actually bought horse number 8.
Yes, I forgot.
You forgot.
Yes, I forgot.
This sweetheart in the family.
Yeah, so we discussed with Niels, and we decided that Phoenix was not working for us. But I still wanted a horse.
A good horse.
And I still wanted a good horse. And we went to see Odin fra Le Chiamotti in Paceland, so with James. And we bought Odin. And now Odin, we have him since 8 months ago, and we having fun with him. He's a sweet guy.
Sweetest horse ever.
He's very well trained, and yes, that's that. That's the last 10 years of horse riding.
Yes. So, how did you then start a podcast?
This is something we that was in my mind since some years. I think something that started to put in my mind was the Natfari podcast, which is a Sweden-born podcast in a sense with Johan Hägberg. And basically I was listening to the English
there were
version.
some English episodes.
English episode, yes. And I just loved it. I like the podcast format, first of all. I think it's very useful for us riders, I think, when you have to collect poop or...
also while I'm driving a lot, longer distances.
When you prepare the hay bags, for instance, as well.
Packing the hay.
I think overall the podcast makes sense. And And I think the episode with Julio Borba is the one that I probably forced you the most to listen to. I think it's super interesting to have Julio Borba's point of view on riding, and then I started to look online. Back in the day, there was not so much. I don't think Rimnir didn't start the community of videos. We didn't, and like you said, we didn't know really a lot of people really basically. So I was looking in the first videos from Gunnar Peterson, and
also
then
really interesting.
Yes, and then after I think we tend to get more and more involved. Like we watch Lionel and Ariane every year now.
Yes.
We get to know more and more people that we are inviting in the show, from Sabina, Linda, Louise, Niels and Susie from Scotland, and all the guests that we are preparing for you.
Yeah.
And it's just extremely interesting for us. I think we are the lucky one, and we get to record beautiful words sometime. The podcast, I'm thinking the podcast of James.
Yeah.
With really nice words about horsemanship. And all the other guests that brought us a lot of knowledge, and hopefully to everybody that listened to us.
Yeah, some knowledge, but also just nice, interesting anecdotes, some fun moments.
Yes.
Yeah. To share about this really amazing Icelandic community, where we as foreigners living in Sweden felt very welcomed, and everybody that we meet, I feel very at home, and I enjoy that. Even though we don't speak the language, so many people make an effort to communicate with us and to show us their world, and that is just really nice.
And let's talk about this format.
Yes.
We wanted to have a shorter format, first of all.
We wanted to, of course, Lionel will continue with the guest, but then we wanted to try out now some shorter versions where we just talk about like everyday life in the stable, where we invite maybe just friends or some interesting people to talk about shorter topics, and see also that we maybe, if there's anything anybody wants us to talk about or ask some questions about, invite certain people. We will address this first of all here, and then of course if it is of more interest, then we will try to really make a longer episode of it.
It's not only about the big names in the world. I think it's also done by a lot of riders around the world, and we wanted to share our passion, Ari and I, and that's why we did that episode. And we will try to find people that are not world champion, not part of any big organization.
No, I think we want to just also hear from our listeners, and we want to share everyday life with an Icelandic horse.
Yes.
And with that, I say thank you, Lionel.
Thank you, Ari.
And I hope you enjoyed this episode. And then you can follow us on any podcast platform and on Instagram. Goodbye.
Goodbye.